paper magic will survive like the heat death of the universe, and will...
Oh, it's a smuggler's copter. Would you like to crew this? And then it crashes because they don't understand arithmetic.
All your cards belong to me.
2 minutes into macing him in the eyeballs, I switched to pepper spray. He's like, yeah, it's all right, refreshing. And went back to the mace.
Magic is dying. I'm done. Selling everything.
I might be a hoarder. And yes,
I don't have the crayons or glue to explain this to you right now.
What, are you gonna die twice?
Oil will be worthless before magic cards will.
Well, okay, Dr. Man.
That's Mr. Dr. Professor Jason.
Hello, everybody, and welcome back to Brainstorm Brewery. I'm Corbin Hostler, joined, as always, by my co-hosts, Douglas Johnson and Jason Alt. How are you guys doing tonight?
Can't complain,
I'm
but
good.
sometimes I still do.
True.
I sold a lot of magic cards over the past week for prices that I would not normally expect magic cards to go for, so I am content.
We have Breaking Bulk. We have some emails. We got Pick of the Week. We have everything you always want to hear on this podcast. But first, you guys, I have a question. Last weekend was the World Magic Championship, or in the official parlance, Magic World Championship XXVII. You know what number that is?
27?
That's right. And do you know what that means is 3 years from now?
28.
3 years from now, Wizards is going... No, 2 years from now, Wizards is going to make a big deal about the 30th anniversary.
No, they're not.
Mhm.
They're not going to make nearly big enough a deal.
Oh, that's what I was going to say. I was going to say they're going to make a big deal about it, and then the year after, when it finally happens, they're going to be like, you know what you get? Another Linkin Park cover video! Woo!
Well,
Woo! Like,
look.
Riot Games released their Worlds video, and the music video probably cost them, like, $1 bazillion, which is a real thing. Like, the animations were beautiful. Every character was, like, dressed up, like,
I guess I should go watch this. That sounds
every
cool.
participant, like, got to be their own champion. You had, like, Kaisa and Syndra duking it out in, like, the middle of a city, but it was actually, like, the pro players from last year. Like, they could do so much cool shit with that instead of what they do for the Magic celebration. Every time I see Riot art or music or video department just blow them out of the water, Wizards is like, you can have a cripple, kid.
Well,
It's just...
Wizards has come a long way. If you remember 6 or 7 years ago, they would take the photos from like their art and they would kind of make it wave a little bit, and they'd pull focus on it, and that would be a video, right? They would turn still images into video for their trailers.
And they can't do
so-
that shit anymore because Josh Lee Kwai will make something better than that for free, and they'll be like, shit,
Well,
we need to step up our game.
they did step up their game. I have to say, like, look, the Linkin Park thing, that was cool. Okay, regardless
The video
of how you feel
itself
about
was
Linkin
cool, but
Park,
they-
like, whatever. It was cool.
Like, the animation for that War of the Spark trailer was very good. And then they put it to, like, the equivalent of just, like, getting rickrolled. Like, you're just, like, watching this video, you're like, oh, shit, it's Liliana and Bolas. And then you're just like, is that f***ing Linkin Park?
I didn't
on
have
a
that experience,
piano,
man. I
like-
liked it. I liked it, man. I thought it was cool.
So one time I spent like 5 minutes on Linkin Park, and then I realized everyone else in the car was being quiet, and it was me, my wife, Bouchard, and his girlfriend at the time, and then they're both like, "We like Linkin Park."
I like
And they
Linkin
just-
Park too. But
I
like,
don't,
you-
and they let me rant for like 5 minutes. It was embarrassing for them because they felt like they couldn't say anything. This hard cut right back in is brought to you by a concept that we like to refer to as after hours. Some of the stuff that we say to each other we think is very funny, but not really magic related or not for everybody. We don't know. What we do know is
Or
that
not
some
for
of you
anybody.
like after hours a awful lot, enough to give us $20 a month, which is $4 or $5 an episode. What else do you get other than the after hours at the $20 level? Oh, all kind of stuff. These handsome drinking glasses, the Playmats, the after hour access, the spreadsheet access, even
the
Discord
altar
access.
sleeves that I'm
Yeah.
sending out this week.
We will validate your parasocial relationship with us. for
and I'll tell you what,
$20.
this feels weird to say, but somehow we're almost at the end of 2021 here, which means we're going to be doing into the year.
11 more weeks, baby.
That's wild to think about.
How do you know how
given
many
that
weeks?
It's still April.
Because I saw a
2020.
tweet saying 12 weeks a week ago, and it made me feel bad inside.
Bro, it's still like it's April 2020 forever, right? Like it's just 420 forever with the pandemic. right? That's just all. It's just never going to be any other month because that's nothing. Time doesn't matter. But somehow it's almost 2022 anyway. So we're going to have some end of the year stuff we're going to talk about in the next couple of weeks.
If we get to 500 patrons at patreon.com/BSB, Corbin will get a haircut.
No, it's actually that I'll do a Flesh and Blood cosplay.
True. All of the above. Hopefully I get a haircut before. I won't lie.
I'll do something crazy too. You decide what. Just go be a patron. We're doing end of the year awards. Get locked in.
That's right. Back on the topic of the videos, though, I know that actually Inside the Building at Wizards was a thing, right? Because those videos were not cheap, as you can tell just by looking at them. The step up in quality from the things they used to release is massive, and therefore it probably cost a ton more money. So that means that somebody in Wizards had to fight for that, had to get that money approved, had to put it out there, and then had to see if that gamble paid off. And I think that it did because they kept doing them. People seem to like them. I do think that the trailers have been a big step forward in the Magic marketing. Hearthstone used to put ads on ABC with good animation that you would watch just while you're watching TV at night. And Wizards would basically have moving photos. It was just, they were just getting lapped.
Like
I mean, like there's even like some other
people watch CSI at ABC.
I think CSI is on CBS.
Modern Family. Then I don't know. Why would I know?
But
there's even some other like really popular mobile games that have done some really good marketing. Like for example, this podcast is brought to you by Raid Shadow Legends. No, I'm just kidding. We didn't get that sponsorship yet.
No, we tried. We reached out to Raid Shadow Legends, and apparently it's like a whole thing where you can grind slowly into getting a sponsorship over like the course of 3 years, or you can just give them a bunch of money up front and that will sponsor you.
That makes sense. Anyways, all right, moving right on along. Oh, I think I would have. What all of this was to say that the World Championship happened last weekend. The winner.
Yeah, and I actually had like financial information that we were going to like lead the show off with this bit.
The financial information is you can 0-3 draft and still do okay in the event.
You can still become the world champion. Congratulations to Yuta Takahashi. He's awesome.
Well, I mean, because I didn't know Worlds was happening this weekend, and nobody else knew Worlds was happening this weekend outside of the people that were playing the tournament for the most part.
False.
And so the event happened, and then I looked at MTG Stocks, which may or may not also be our sponsor, but I'm not going to run into that pitch just yet. Hang on, you thought I was going to, but I'm not. And so I was like, oh, Worlds happened. What cards jumped? None of them, because Worlds and tournaments like that don't impact card prices anymore, which is an actual like conversation that we can have that like matters to people listening to the podcast. Because like back in the day, every tournament, every weekly 400-person Star City event would make Boros Reckoner go to $20. That was the weekly hype cycle.
Somebody top 8ing a 32-person legacy SCG class in Frankfort, Kentucky. It was like, well, I guess food chain is $75 forever because someone went 3-2 with the Griffin deck. We did it. We did a finance.
And nowadays, there was not a single card on stocks. There was no specific standard or any like draft, historic, whatever. There was no card that moved in price because of the Magic World Championship. Think about that.
I mean, you're right. I think that's...
How about that EDH, baby?
Yeah, there's just so much. I mean, it's different in the sense that 7-8 years ago / the other 25 years of Magic, you're right. That's how things moved, and we would watch our computers on Sunday nights. You get those top 8 deck lists, get the cards on Monday because they wouldn't go up for several more days. Like it was just a whole long drawn out thing. But here's the thing: the community was smaller then, and the community that there was focused.
Well, the card supply was smaller too.
Yeah, well, but the community that existed was focused on those cards. Like that was what drove just sort of a lot of the cycles of Magic, was that was the format you played, and now it's not. Now you play Commander, you don't play, and not Standard. It's not the default, so it doesn't matter, especially in these 16-person small field tournaments that exist on Arena. You know, those decks mattered a lot to Arena and what people were playing on ladder, and I guarantee you it matters to what wild cards were spent in the Arena economy and all of that stuff, but absolutely does not matter in paper. You're right about
People are shaking their fist at their car radio right now, or their whatever device they're using to consume this podcast. Maybe they're on YouTube. Check us out on YouTube. We are Brainstorm Brewery on there. Give us a like and a subscribe. But there are people angry right now because things went nuts on Moto, but like, man, we've never paid attention to Moto, and this is no time to start because everything is just supplies weird. Like, if you want to be like recognized by Wizards, you have to play Arena. So like being spread between Arena and Moto doesn't make much sense, even though Moto's like still kind of superior in a lot of ways. But prices are not, just because there's not a ton of supply being injected there.
Magic Online as like a program is just baffling to me that it like exists today in its current state. Like, it's so weird that like that exists alongside, like, putting both of those up in like a slideshow comparison next to each other and saying like these are both ways that you're supposed to play competitive Magic in 2021. Just from like a UI perspective, from like everything, it's just like this is when you're still running with this.
It's what's crazy is it works.
Moto's so bad, it's like I'm going to make Bitcoin because I'm so bored with trying to trade cards on here.
It was certainly. I mean, that is what happened back then. Look, these days, Arena and Magic Online have learned to coexist, and you have certain events that you play on Arena, and you have certain formats and events that are played exclusively on Magic Online. And it's you know, it's obvious which of those platforms is the cash cow, and the one that, well, they're both cash cows, right? But the one that matters is Arena. Obviously, that's what we're playing Worlds on. But Wizards is sponsoring events like the Pastimes All Access event on MTGO, where people, that's sponsored by Wizards. You got promo Dimulage
Whoa, we got
for playing in that event.
Now? There's Arena, Moto, and MTGO?
Mikko, Jason.
You're talking like a real Wizards employee right now.
It's crazy though that they really have just there is a niche, and the streamers are swapping back and forth. And from what I understand, there's, you know, at least a little bit more sort of understanding between sort of the entire umbrella of content creators and Wizards, that Magic Online is not, it's not Arena or bust anymore. You know, it mostly is. But Caleb Durward, Ingy on Twitch, they all do a bunch of Magic Online, and they are obviously still supported by Wizards. So it's weird as hell that the two platforms are coexisting, but somehow currently that's what's happening.
People that didn't panic sell all their stuff on Moto when Arena came out, like, are getting rewarded. And anytime people don't panic, I think that's cool.
And anyone who opened a Ragavan.
And when they're, people did that hodl maneuver. And sometimes hodling gets there.
Always hodl.
I just think it's weird that, like, I sold 0 Alrun's Epiphanies for $18 this weekend, and I sold 17 Noxious Schools for $18 this weekend.
Whew.
That's how my...
Have you tweeted that, DJ? Because that is an incredible...
is Noxious Ghoul about to get banned?
Observation.
No? Are people...
No.
I only know two things. Alrun's Epiphany is going to be banned any minute now, and I would like to spend $72 on a playset, please. Those are the two things I know.
I do think that it is likely to end up banned.
Let me sell mine first. I bought a bunch when we had Jay on the podcast, Drip Guy, and he said to buy that card, and I was like, all right, you know about Type 2. I'm calling it Type 2 because you said Mikko. I'm punishing you. It's EDH. It's Type 2.
Okay.
Jason's beard is gonna turn white. Jason's gonna add JJ's gonna add like a graph. He's gonna like Tim out on you as you talk about like it's Type 2 and it's back in my day we called it 3rd edition, not revised.
Jason's booming on me.
We did call it 3rd edition.
Jason's booming. DJ's zooming. I don't even know what to do.
Get a haircut.
Okay. Moving on to Breaking Bulk, the segment that will make me feel better because I always.
Breaking bulk time. Breaking bulk time. Break.
Oh, yeah, breaking bulk. There's so much good stuff.
It's a pick. Breaking bulk. The end.
I have a rare from the Dark that was reprinted in 4th and 5th edition.
Abomination.
No. The reason I'm picking a rare from the Dark is because the copies of this that you will find
Ragman.
aren't always 4th and 5th edition. No.
It's not Ragman. Up your butt.
It is a card that has steadily climbed over the past several
What
weeks.
color is it?
Blue.
City. Sunken City.
Erosion.
Nope.
Volcanic. No, that was Legends. 4th and 5th, and
that
it's
was
a
the best
blue
guess I
rare
had.
from the Dark. I will get this. I will goddamn get this. Pirate ship.
Mm-mm.
Ghost ship.
Nope.
Dunadan.
Sinbad.
I don't know
Dan
what
wasn't in
Corbin just
4th.
said,
That was
but
in
no.
Chronicles. You're embarrassing yourself.
Okay.
That was Arabian Nights and Chronicles. Oh my god. It's a blue dark. It wasn't a rare in 4th or 5th, was it?
I believe it was. Let me check. Okay, so it was the Dark 5th and Chronicles. My apologies. It was the
Moving the
Dark
goalposts.
5th and Chronicles. I
That
thought
makes
it
a
was 4th.
huge difference. The dark 5th.
Huge.
Okay,
difference.
all of your bad guesses have been erased. Fresh start.
They weren't bad.
I got all new bad guesses.
The Dark 5th and Chronicles.
The dark 5th and Chronicles.
Blue
Chronicles
was my
blue
best
rare.
guess, honestly.
What were the Chronicles blue rares from the dark? It's like 2 probably. Puppet Master?
Nope.
Dance of Men? No, that was Ice Age.
Mm-hmm.
What is
Dance
Dance
of
of
Many.
Many?
Yep.
Oh, cool. Nailed it. All right, DJ's
Yeah,
a filthy cheater.
It is Dance of Many, and I picked a rare. I picked a card that you find in bulk because you absolutely find these in bulk because they have a black set symbol.
And it was
And-
trash. It was you're not going to find a ton of Chronicles bulk now, but like I tend to try to buy all of the unsorted worthless Magic cards that LGSs that or not really LGSs, but like if you go to a store that has sport cards, chances are they have 1 5-row box of Magic the Gathering cards that hasn't been touched in 5 years, and they will sell it to you for $100.
Well, even this is one like if it's picked over from 2018, this was worthless until it started climbing up this year. Like this is a card that's $2, and it's just I don't know what made it spike in Commander. I assume there's some sort of like cloney shenanigans you can do with it. Doesn't matter to me.
Sakashima.
Sure.
Krakashima decks. There's a ton of clone stuff that popped off like just in the last year or two. It seems like
yeah.
everything they do, they're like revisiting within a year because they're like, oh, it turns out we have a finite number of ideas and we print more legends every set than we used to print every year. Like there were 24 legendary creatures printed in 1997. There were 24 in the last set. So like you got to come up with some and you're going to have to reuse it. So yep, there's been a ton of clone stuff. You know what? Just as a reminder, what I do when I don't know why a card went up and I suspect it was EDH, I just go to EDH Rec and it'll bring up the top commanders. And sure enough, the Sakashima and Tormod the Desecrator decks are running it. Brutaclad, which I think has gotten popular again lately, and Gyruda Doom of Depths. But I'm not 100% sure it was EDH that did this because it's not really getting played a ton in that stuff that would like indicate anything recent really popped it off hard. So like who's building Sakashima and Tormod the Desecrator? Nobody. So I just assume it's just like, well, people are just doing cloney stuff and whatever. These are $1. Don't bulk these out.
All right. I've got an interesting one here. This is a recent pick, probably the past 6 months or so. This has not always been a pick. It's an colorless uncommon from Theros.
Like original Theros?
That's the one.
Colorless uncommon. Oh, it's some garbage equipment, isn't it?
I don't know.
It's like those sandals or
I was
something.
gonna say the Fleet Feather sandals.
Nope.
The chariot, the shield, the spear.
I was gonna say the thing that gives haste.
Nope.
Is it an equipment?
It is. I actually thought you would say Burnished Heart.
No,
Burnished
I know
Heart's
that.
no longer
Burnished Heart
a
has
thing
too many
anymore.
printings.
Yeah. Do you want me to tell you?
Yeah, who cares?
It's Prowler's Helm.
Oh, yep, I picked it.
Hasn't
Equipped creature cannot
Can't
be
be
blocked,
blocked
except by walls.
Hey, here's a fun thing to do at home. If you have access to the spreadsheet because you went to patreon.com/BSB, look up the last time Prowler's Helm was called. I believe it was in the year 2021.
Uh-oh.
It's a fun thing to do at home. Follow along with the podcast. When's the last time Prowler's Helm was picked? Was it very recent? And follow-up question, was it by Corbin very recently?
I don't.
Corbin's laughing a lot, and he has the spreadsheet open. I think maybe Corbin picked Prowler's Helm the last couple of months. Is that what happened?
It was 6 months ago.
Okay, 6 months isn't that bad. I do that all the time.
Like 5.5 months. I guess that's when it became a pick. But there you go, everybody. It's still a pick.
Prowler's
Two
Helm.
minutes to play,
You know
2
what?
minutes
We
to
didn't
play.
nail it right off the bat. You know why I didn't say Prowler's Helm, Corbin? You know why? Because the thought under my head was like, I
Yeah,
can't
of
say
course.
Prowler's Helm.
Of course, I'm sure.
We just had that.
I'm sure that's what it was.
Well, I guessed it last time.
Okay.
Is that true?
Go to the
No
tape.
idea, man.
Go to the tape. I have a card that I did not pick 6 months ago.
Okay.
You know how I know?
Because you looked at the spreadsheet
No,
after going to patreon.com.
I would never. I would never stoop.
Okay.
I know because this is an Innistrad Midnight Hunt card.
Okay.
Is it the key?
You're gonna have to be more specific.
Is it the artifact that searches for a land or
Moonsilver key?
artifact with a basic ability?
Gonna need a
I know there's
little.
a lot of those. I know there's a lot of those, but
I'm gonna need you to be a little more Look, Moonsilver Key is $1, and not a lot of people know that.
Jason,
and
you
you're
know why
not.
I guessed this one?
What's that?
Because I have a pile of cards in my desk that are like preemptive breaking bulks for the next 3 weeks, and that's one of them.
Well, Moonsilver Key is a card that the Command Zone talked about, and that is literally all that matters. You're not going to get these in Draft Chaff because who's drafting right now, but this is just a card that, like, if you can get it for like a quarter, you can get it like for 50 cents.
One of my favorite things
grab
about this is that it just searches absurd cards that you wouldn't think it searches for.
Yeah.
I'm trying to figure out everything this can get here.
Like you can get
Somebody
great hedge
tweeted
with
today
this.
that you can get Forsaken Monument because Forsaken Monument has a mana ability.
You can get Great Henge. That's my favorite one.
Great Henge is pretty sick.
Yeah.
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 Pyromancer's Goggles.
Okay.
This is an insane Magic card, and it's not super reprintable if you,
You
ask
could use
me.
it to get Dreamstone Hedron and draw cards if you're still playing that.
Nobody's
Or-
playing Dreamstone Hedron.
Maybe Hedron Archive. I've seen that one.
Mind Stone. People play Mind Stone.
True. I mean,
What's
that's
the
one- that's a
Eldraine?
little-
What's the
yeah.
Eldraine clock? Like Midnight Clock? or
Midnight
something?
Clock?
Midnight
No,
Clock, that
Clock
card's
is-
silly.
That card is absurd.
It searches for that.
Yeah.
Yeah, this card is cool. You're right.
So like it's not a great guessing game pick, but it is a card that like I don't know what your access to this card is. I don't know if your LGS is doing drafts. I don't know what's going on, but if you have the ability to just pull these out of the trash can,
or
metaphorically.
you just bought a box, right? I have friends who
Yeah.
aren't really playing Magic in the sense that they're not going to LGSs, but they're still buying box every time set comes out.
Take all your Moon Silver keys, put them in a sleeve, set that in a box, and just wait until you find it. You'll be like, every time I see a tweet where it's like, oh man, I was looking for an unrelated card and I found $25 worth of, blah, blah, blah. It's like,
Yeah.
good.
Well, I will say, don't truly forget where you put it, because Rooftop Storm hit me a little hard.
Oh
Well-
no, DJ! Did you just had him, but you didn't know where?
He had them, but he didn't get out.
Well, I've had the same. I'm here with the Emeralds, just taunting me from somewhere in this room. So
That was
no. Like that's
Look, man, Rooftop Storm was a very reprintable card.
It was. That's true. I didn't think they'd have the balls to put it in a pre-con, though.
That pre-con
Is stacked.
It seems
Yeah,
it's
that's a
stacked
good one.
value-wise, and then the green-white one just beats it because they made a green-white commander that just draws a ton of cards. It's really weird.
I mean, sure, but like outside of the context of playing them against each other, the zombie deck is just good.
It's nuts. It's outselling the green-white one at our LGS like 5-1. It's stupid.
Yeah. I think that the strength of the precon could very arguably be why, we've seen so much more interest in zombies than something like werewolves. Right?
I don't think it's that. I think
it's-
zombies have just always outnumbered werewolves like from a casual perspective. Like zombies have just always been one of the most
Yeah, I mean, I think
popular
that's you're right
tribes
about
in
it.
the
You're right
game.
about
So
that, yeah.
Torvald is still the most built deck from Midnight Hunt, but the last 3 weeks in a row, Wilhelt has been the number one most built deck of the week.
Yeah, and you know what? I think
There's
that makes-
also like
yeah.
more zombie commanders, right? Like you could add up every zombie commander and pit
Yeah.
those against Torvald.
Yeah. So you could just like, oh, I like Wilhelt better than Grim Grin, so I'm just gonna swap them out.
Right. Yeah, and also, I mean, the set was called Midnight Hunt. Werewolves got all the publicity, right? I'm kind of in the content creator circle
Well,
here. where that's
Wilhelt
what
was
we're
in the
talking about,
pre-con;
but-
it wasn't in the
zombies
set.
were
That's a
always
different thing. People had to wait longer for the another week for the pre-con. So
Yeah, they just kind of just kind of the way that it's interesting, just sort of the way it's flown, and then sort of comparing that to EDH rec, right? Seeing the run on werewolves and then zombies a little later in the cycle here.
Yep. I'm criticized constantly for my over-reliance on EDH Rec, but that data has never steered me wrong.
All right. Well, next up, we want to dive into a Discord message we received. I'm going to read this and then we'll tackle it. From Iron Man MTG. So after the previous discussion on TCG low versus TCG direct low, I noticed that there's about a 13% higher price point for direct across my inventory. Just playing around on the buyer side, I definitely noticed the same thing across a number of cards. The direct price is significantly more than scrolling down and buying from individual sellers. It begs the question, what is the buyer's incentive to go for the higher priced direct items? You literally have the same card for plus or minus 10% on the same page. Why do buyers opt to pay more? Just because it has additional advertisement by being at the top and easy to click? Presumably, if a non-direct buyer set their prices based on direct low, they see a massive drop in sales compared to setting their prices at regular TCG low. I'm curious about different sales volume numbers for direct low versus non-direct sellers at TCG low. So that's a little bit in the weeds, but essentially what they're saying is that it just costs more to get your cards through TCG direct. And why are people paying more when you are in theory protected by TCG player or whatever else? Why are people paying more for direct? Is it just explained by the convenience of the website, or are people making that conscious decision? What's your experience with this, DJ, having been on the platform for a long time?
Yeah, so I do think this person somewhat answered their own question and is sort of putting themselves in the other person's shoes, but not really looking at it from their viewpoint, if that makes sense. They are thinking, well, if I were a buyer, the way I normally do this is that I'm somebody who wants to maximize value. I'm somebody that wants to... I'm in a Magic Finance Discord. I want to sort of grind out those nickels and dimes because I understand I can turn those into quarters and turn those into dollars, etc. But I do think that you are just sort of drastically underestimating the power of advertising and convenience, and just the sheer number of players that looks for a Magic card, then clicks a button to add it to their cart, and minimizing the number of clicks that it takes for somebody to check out with a cart of Magic cards
On their 2013 phone.
Sure, or just even on a website, just like click, click, click. I want Magic cards coming in my door, and like I sell so many more. I sell $9 Emerwools when TCG low is $4. Like that's a the percentage is absurd. Sometimes there are some cards where it's like, oh, TCG low on this is like $1.38, and I'm like $2.99. Just that's the number. I'll get it eventually. It'll sell. The non-direct copies will run out. There'll be like three direct sellers below me that'll run out, and then I'm the only one, and then I get the box number. So it's just sheer convenience and the power of somebody wants to receive one package. They don't want to. Yes, you're protected. Like if you buy a, let's say, $30 Concordant Crossroads on TCG Player when TCG low is like 100. If that happens to you, yes, you're protected by TCG seller buyer safeguard or whatever they call it. But like, you have to message them, and then you have to wait for them to reply, and then you have to go through the process of like, you'll get your refund and you will be out $0, but like, that's work that you have to put in to attempt to snag that deal if that seller was a bad actor or if they were
Why
scamming.
would you bring up a thing that happened to me?
So I was expecting you
Specifically,
to jump in.
I paid $35 on those Crossroads.
I guessed the number. I'm surprised I was that close. I just sort of winged it.
Yeah.
But yeah, like, and like for people like us, we're willing to take that gamble. It's like, oh, this is a $70 card. Somebody has it listed at 40. I'll chuck $40 at it. I might get a refund 3 weeks from now, whatever. I might get a really cheap card. But like, and that's a very low opportunity cost for us. But there's a lot of other people that are just like, I'll pay the $75 on direct. I'll get my card because I want to play with it immediately. And that's a huge number of people that I think are often just sort of forgot about, or like people are just very good at like extrapolating their own experiences and preferences to like what they think the general population wants, gestures wildly.
Yeah.
But like the most people don't think the way you do, just as a general rule. Not just
Direct
related to
sellers
Magic.
are vetted to an extent that just a rando isn't. So
That's a whole different conversation, Jason. They are not vetted as well
But-
as they should be, but that's
No.
a rabbit hole. That I'm not
no,
gonna get
but
into.
I'm saying from a buyer's perspective,
Yeah,
you're like,
yeah,
well,
yeah,
this
yeah.
person
Yeah.
couldn't be a direct seller. So
Yeah.
Look, here's the way I would just kind of encourage looking at a lot of things. Because it is, you're right, DJ's right. You look at it and you say, well, that's not what I would do. But if you, instead of looking at it that way, look at it and say, basically every buyer, everything exists on a spectrum, and every buyer is somewhere along that spectrum. And I'm not joking about people on their 2013 phone, because there's so many people who just want to buy and sell cards to you in person at home anyway, because they just don't do online cards, right?
Yeah.
So keep in mind that that's one end of the spectrum. The other end is us. And us, I know how to save 10% online when I'm getting my card. Well, somewhere in between there is the person who is struggling along on their old phone on bad data, trying to load TCG Player to get the last card they need to beat their friend at the thing, right? And like somewhere along that line, you just have people, they have so much energy or time or resources to put into buying a card, and enough people are going to fall in one spot that it's going to raise the average of that versus the low when you add in that convenience factor. So it's just an interesting thing to look at in terms of, macro buying behavior, right?
One of my short little anecdotes about brand loyalty that taught me a lot in this industry. The first Magic Fest / GP that I ever worked as a buyer was for Channel Fireball. I worked one event for Channel Fireball, didn't work out, mostly because like their entire team is on the West Coast. Like they're trying me out as somebody who lives in New York, and it's just like time zones don't work out. But I worked one event for Channel Fireball, and I bought a card from somebody, and we were paying, I think it was 10, but there was a hot list next to us that was paying 12. And some guy walked up to me and he said, I want to sell you this for $2. And as a customer service person, I tend to tell people, like, if there's an immediate better value they can get sometimes. It's like, hey man, like they're paying 12 right over there. Like I'm gonna pick up this card and turn around and give it to the other person so I can make my $2 on it. And they're like, nah man, I want you to make that $2. I like Channel Fireball. I'm like, but I'm gonna just give it to somebody else and make more money. You could have that money. Why don't you want that? And he's like, nah man, brand loyalty. I love CFB's videos, man. And like there's people that feel that way about TCG. There's people that feel that way about, like, that want TCG to get the extra money. Like, TCG makes more money on direct sales than non-direct sales. So there's some people that are like, I'm going to support TCG. They're a local Syracuse business.
Sure.
That's a real thing.
Yeah. Like I said, just the idea that, every question we're going to examine and when we talk about this, it's just everyone's different. And when you put in these external factors as a corporation, as a company, as a business, you can take advantage of that. What TCG Player's doing. It's the same thing we do when we make instant collections and we sell them, right? There's so much more efficient ways for people to get those cards, but this is the convenient thing for them to do. So that's what
Convenience,
that's how it goes.
like, there's a reason Amazon is good at stuff. and that convenience is the biggest sort of powerhouse in that.
The reason you get your Prime account when you're born these days. DJ, do we have any more emails?
What do you mean,
that
any
we
more
wanna touch on
emails?
this
You didn't
week?
even read an email. Yes, we have emails. This is from $20 Patreon, abusing my 1% powers.
Nice.
From Everett. Hey, Brew Crew, I was recently pondering the meaning of life outside of waiting to be the first to like your YouTube videos. Oh, I see how this is.
Nice.
Another Patreon perk. And then I realized something funny. You guys focus a lot on cards for just their financial value, but outside of Gonti, Omnath, and Azami, we rarely get to see your preferences for EDH and etc. So what are some of your favorite cards to play with right now in Magic, and what are some of the cards you personally want to see get reprinted? Keep up the great work, seeing as you guys help me keep my sanity in these apocalyptic times. Everett, aka the EV Mage 97 on Twitter, sent from my iPhone while holding up traffic in Corbin City, New Jersey. Yes, it's an actual place.
Nice.
Well, Everett, thanks for never reading my articles or watching the Wednesday night streams at twitch.tv/Brainstorm Brewery.
Said something nice to Jason. This is what you get.
Oh, do I never talk about my EDH card preferences? Really? Are you sure? This guy's a $20 patron. I'm going to calm it down. Fuck you, Everett. No,
I was going to say,
no,
if you want
that's
to take a
too
minute
aggressive.
and do some
It's too
breathing
aggressive. I'm sorry.
exercises, I can answer first. A couple of my favorite tribes are Sig River Cutthroat Rogues. I built Rogues before it was cool. I had it long before Battle for Zendikar. I took it apart for a brief time, and it was one of the only decks I regretted ever taking apart. So I put Sig back together. It's got a lot of my favorite cards in there. A lot of random uncommon rogues that nobody knows what they did before ZNR. Like Master Thief is in there. Whirler Rogue.
More people should play Master Thief, by the way. I don't know why they don't.
Oh yeah, it's just Sower of Temptation for artifacts. It's quite good. Thieving Skydiver sort of overshadows a little bit, but both are fine.
If you're going to take an equipment, Skydiver's nuts, but like I almost always end up taking a Soul Ring with Thieving Skydiver.
True, but Skydiver takes it permanently. But
yeah.
I do also play Selenia Dark Angel is one of my favorite commanders. It'll get put up on the screen now on the YouTube, but she is a sort of a ad nauseum combo life swappy deck that plays like Axis of Mortality. It's a near-death experience deck. Stunning reversals in there. A lot of just very interesting and weird ways to switch players' life totals and manipulate them to the point where, like, I play Angel's Grace, Phyrexian Unlife, ad nauseum. Just it's very much that one scene from The Dark Knight where Joker's walking towards the motorcycle kind of thing, and somebody's not sure if they should alpha strike you because you have near-death experience and you might have Angel's Grace. But it's a very risky combo deck because sometimes they have Lightning Bolt and you die. So
Gut shot.
There's that. Yeah, I've died to Lightning Bolt. Well,
I'd love to kill you with a gut shot. That would make me feel pretty happy.
So those are two of my favorite decks that I have.
I have pet enchantments. I think every deck is built as much around an enchantment as it is around a commander. Is it a Cryptolith Rite deck? Is it a Doubling Season deck? Is it a Necropotence deck? Is it a
Ghostly Prison deck?
Yeah, a Ghostly Prison deck. Is it a Grave Pack deck? I feel like enchantments are the best permanent type in EDH, and there are ways to sweep all the enchantments off the board. That rarely happens. People will run like Vandal Blast, but they won't run like Clean Fall. So your enchantments usually stick around a little bit longer. They'll pick them off with like Acidic Slam and junk like that. But
it's a merciless eviction. Stop it, Patrick! You're scaring him.
I don't like that card. I will tear one in half if I come across one. Because someone will cast Merciless Eviction just to get 4 of my enchantments, and then they will die to creatures the next turn. That is how people play Magic the Gathering. That is how Corbin Hostler plays Magic the Gathering. So, enchantments tend to stick around a little bit better, and I like enchantments. So if you really dig down, I'm going to write an article about this soon that you won't read, but if you really dig down, there's basically an enchantment that is the theme of the deck, whether it's Doubling Season or, a Grave Pact or something like that. So I really like enchantments, and I also think that they're almost always great investments. Like, I feel like buying Meat Hook Massacre at its current price feels insane.
That card's pretty powerful.
But like we talked about Bastion of whatever that Ikoria card is. Yeah.
Bastion of Remembrance.
It's just one of those cards that just does two really good things in EDH, and everyone's like, yeah, this is going to be 75 cents forever. Enchantments are the type of card I like to buy, and I'm currently really high on March of the Machines because I think that's really sick with Eloise. So almost all my favorite cards in EDH are enchantments, and realizing that about myself kind of helped me just steer into that. I was like, maybe I should build differently. I'm like, nah, f- that, just steer into it. Go on TCG Player, buy every copy of Cryptolith Right, spend $900 on Cryptolith Rights. And so I did. So once you figure out what your is, don't try to change it about yourself. Just lean into it.
Here's what, yeah, I mean, I think that's what I want to add to that is Jason writing his 75% series for cool stuff way back kind of changed how I approached my deck building EDH. And I was talking with a friend the other day about how I have 6 or 7, I think I have 7 decks now. And I kind of I feel like I need to take one apart if I want to make a new one. And I was talking about specifically an old deck I had, a Shroom deck, which was really just a powerful combo deck at the time. And I talked about like how Commander has changed in that time and really how my deck building process has changed. We were talking about new cards I could put into Shroom, and I was like, I think I just don't want to play the deck anymore because it's like a very 2014 EDH Commander. It costs a bunch. It basically just combos, and it makes you a threat. So what I've done more in my more recent decks that I like a lot more is that I've really tried to pick, like kind of like Jason talks about, like a sort of a key theme or interaction. So my last deck was Archelos, the Lagoon Mystic, the turtle that makes things come into play untapped when it's untapped.
You were such a baby when I played Archelos against you, by the way.
Yeah, that card is fun.
When your shit started coming in tapped, you were such a baby.
It gets people. But I like to play it with like Amulet of Vigor, and I just built basically kind of like a lands deck. And I really enjoyed much more sort of exploring that individual theme in a deck, much more than I like sort of a combo powerful stuff build like Shroom. So that's kind of where I'm at. I've played a lot of Merfolk in Historic on Arena recently. I hit Mythic for the first time this month with Merfolk. Felt pretty good. So that's where I'm at. I play a fair amount of Magic on Arena in my free time. Thank you for sending that email, Ever, by the way. That was very nice. We appreciate the support of you going to patreon.com/BSB. That is very much appreciated, as is giving us a chance to talk about ourselves.
Yeah.
All right.
Thanks,
well,
Everett.
Next up, we're going to talk about some cards, not ourselves. It's time for Pick of the Week.
Pick of the week, pick of the week, pick of the week. Time for the pick of the week.
I had a Midnight Hunt Breaking Bulk. It seems only fitting that I should talk about a Midnight Hunt pick of the week. So EDH is king, right? But even someone that has known EDH has been king since way before it happened. Misses stuff. I really thought that the Gaia's Cradle Druid from AFR was going to go to like $2. It started out like $5. I'm like, I don't want to pay $5 for this. And it just went to $9. It's like $9-10 now. TCG Player, Card Kingdom, cool stuff everywhere. It's like $9-10 for Circle of Dreams Druid. So it seems like the stuff that starts out at $5 and you're like, nah, buy this at $2 before it goes to $7. You got to buy at $5 because it's on its way to $10. I feel that way about Unnatural Growth. Unnatural Growth has 4 effing green pips, which is good for Nykthos, I guess, but like it puts it pretty squarely in aggro, right? You're not splashing Unnatural Growth in your Sultai deck, right? This is an aggro card. But the thing is, it doubles the power and toughness of each creature you control, so it makes your tokens way better. And your go wide stuff all of a sudden goes tall and wide at the same time. This says double on it. Double is a casual gold code word, right? I realize that everyone for a while thought triple was going to be the new double, but like they're not doing as much triple anymore. Triples is safer, you know. Triples is better because it's safer, but doubles is the it's still a word that doubles the price. So I actually don't hate buying Unnatural Growth at $5-6 because I think this is a $25 card if it doesn't get reprinted.
I mean, that's pretty aggressive, but I honestly don't know if you're wrong. I actually called that card out in my Cool Stuff article last week as being possibly the best commander card, or basically like the best card in the set. It's just in terms of sort of hitting every format. And you're right, it's good in commander. And I also I'm trying to sort of untrain myself a little bit, because it used to be, I see a card that I like for commander in a standard set, I'll wait till rotation, or I'll wait for it to drop. Okay, even maybe not rotation, but 3 months from now when we're at peak supply. And look, whether it's the pandemic or just popularity of EDH or whatever, Jason's right that these cards just don't drop at all.
They used to, but like also no one's drafting these sets. So like when you're like, when people get peak supply used to be, we would say when the sets stop being drafted, but these sets never start being drafted. Right? So like where are more Unnatural Growths going to come from? Unnatural Growths would end up on TCG Player when competitive players drafted Unnatural Growth, won a draft with it, looked at it, said, I'll never play this in standard, throw it in their binder, went to the GP, scrubbed out, sat down across from GJ, sold DJ Unnatural Growth for $2, and then it goes up on, Caffrey's site for $5 or 95 or whatever. That is how those cards got cheap. But now all of those mechanisms are gone, and all we are left with is a $10 Circle of Dreams Druid 2 months after it was printed. An in-print rare from a set that like the ink isn't dry on is $10. And when it was $5, I was like, let this hit $3. Shit isn't happening anymore. Get your Unnatural Growths now because it's going to unnaturally grow to $12. Stat. It's not as good as Circle of Dreams Druids, perhaps, but it's not a $5 card either.
I was going to run back a vampire pick. I was going to just coast along, pick another dumb vampire that was going to double after Crimson Wedding comes out. And I audibled. About 20 seconds ago, I was looking at our spreadsheet where you can keep track of who's winning. And I was looking at a January pick that I made, and I was a little curious how it was going, and it wasn't going the way I wanted it to. Rishkar's Expertise, I picked it around 5 in January this year, 5 or 6. And
wow, was it really that cheap in January?
And it's cheaper now because it was in the Commander AFR deck.
Yeah.
So Rishkar's Expertise is down to 3, and if it doesn't get reprinted again, which I guess it could.
It could.
It is a higher risk pick, but...
Well, can we talk for a concept very briefly? Everyone's like, if you look at the absolute reprint risk of a card like Rishkar's Expertise specifically, it seems high. But when you factor in the fact that they have to either print Garrick's Uprising or Rishkar's Expertise or, Shamanic Revelation or one of the 3 or 4 cards that'll do that, you think in this set specifically, there is a decent chance they print Rishkar's Expertise, but that means they won't do one of the other cards, which means for every one of those cards that does a fairly similar thing, you basically add a year to its reprint window, right? They reprint Black Market a lot because nothing does what Black Market does. A lot of cards do what Rishkar's Expertise does. Kinda, right? Like, you're not going to put 5 green draw cards in a precon. You're going to put either Expertise or Shamanic Revelation or Garrick's Uprising. Which means when one gets printed, the other 2 are due the next year and the year after. So you actually kind of can judge how long it takes to reprint a card by how many functional copies of it there are.
That's an interesting metric for sure.
Yeah, I picked Return of the Wild Speaker 2-3 months ago or something like
You
that.
weren't wrong, and you still aren't.
Right, and I think that this is sort of in the same boat of just, this is a $3 card that hit 7 on its own, just being out of Aether Revolt. And at 3, I do think that there are a lot of them that will get lost in the weeds, and then people will be... It's still probably the most powerful of these effects. You do get to play a card for free after you play it.
Rishker's expertise is bug nutty for sure, but
and
yeah.
it's just a card that I think should probably go back up to 7.
Yeah, fair enough. I'm gonna also talk about a card that was sort of reprinted recently. Anyway, it was in Theros Beyond promo packs, whatever that means. Disallow though from Aether Revolt. The card has previously topped out actually at like $8. It's currently at $4, and it has sort of cooled off over the past 6 months or so.
It's because Dana Roach wrote an article saying he didn't like it.
He did write that. I think that the card is very good though, and I use all modes on this card. And I think it's, in general, I think this is basically like a $5 to $7 card. But I think it is also reasonable that it's just to call out that this Disallow is very good. And it's just probably never going to be cheaper than $4.
Yeah.
And, maybe it's only $5. You're not going to get rich on it. But it could also just end up being $10. And just one of those that, I want to mention a card when I think it's at its floor. Even if I don't know where it's going to go from here. So we'll see what happens.
They'll have to print a better version of this, I think, to make it like not a good pickup at 4.
Yeah, and what's the blue green one?
Void Slime.
Void Slime.
Yeah, and Void Slime.
Void Slime was in the Secret Lair slime.
And it was
thing.
There's few of these, but it was in the guild kit, the Simic guild kit, I think.
Yeah. So this card was like Void Slime was $10 before a couple. So just kind of think it's in the same vein there. And obviously, you can play Disallow and more decks. All right. Well, I think that rounds out our picks of the week. Reminder, you can look at all of these cards and all of the interests for our Breaking Bulks, our pick of the week, everything we have on the spreadsheets at our sponsor, mtgstocks.com. We want to thank them, as always, for sponsoring this podcast, because that is the place we have always used to get our pricing data. It's the best in the business. All right, guys. Anything else you want to shout out before we get out of here this week?
I want to shout out MTG Stocks because I feel like they could have gotten a more substantial ad read, but they didn't. So mtgstocks.com, your source for MTGs and stocks. They got both those things. And Corbin should have mentioned that, but was negligent. Get your stocks at mtgstocks. Get your MTGs at mtgstocks.com. Right? There you have MTGs in stock. Baby, that's what they got. Those things.
Good night.
Get them. Put them in stock. Take down your sign that says out of stock on MTGs. Flip that sign over that says in stock, baby. We are stocking MTGs.
Jason's shadow boxing in preparation for channel point rewards on the Switch.
No kidding. Anyways, everybody, thank you so much for listening. We are off to stream at twitch.tv/Brainstorm Brewery. Thanks for listening to the podcast. You can find us across the internet. You can find us wherever you get your podcasts. You can find us on YouTube. You can go to the original MagicArt.store, use the promo code BrewCrew, or you can go to BCW, use the promo code Brainstorm. Thanks for listening, everybody. We'll see you next week. All the ads.
And when am I going to get my after hours? Get on that shit.
It is a blue
First guess.
animation card, which don't come around too often. When Dance of Mini comes into play, choose target summoned card and play. Or wait, no, it's a clone. Never mind. Cut that. I thought.
No,
it was a
leave it in.
reanimation card.
Leave it in.
Nope.
You have botched this. No, listen. You
Fuck
talk
you.
so much when you like stump us. I want everyone to like. Oh, it's in 4th edition. I want every little.
Put it at the end.
Ooh.
Leave it at the end.
Ooh.